Markets go up and markets come down. It's coming down. Then we're going into depression, and then we go into revolution. And that was the first time I saw history of what I was taught at the academy in real life. I went, oh my God, this stuff about Marx, Lenin, Mao, Stalin, Hitler is true. Marx had one thing, it was the abolition of private property. In other words, we could own nothing. And as a capitalist, that kind of upsets me a bit, you know. So they wanted to take all of our private property away, and it would then go to the state. And that's why when you study communism and Marxism, it's a centralized economy. In military terms, it's called command and control. I went to military school. So it's a command and control economy where the government tells you everything. So that's why the Federal Reserve Bank is part of a communist thing. It's a central bank. And the central bank is not American. It's not a bank. And there's no reserves in it. And it's the Fed today is the third central bank. And for history, since Jefferson and those guys, they kept saying we cannot have central banks. But because our academic system is basically Marxist, you know, most school teachers are Marxists, they just don't know it because they didn't study Marx like I did. I'm a capitalist. I don't have a job. I don't have a paycheck. It's so opposite because that was my rich dad teaching me, and my poor dad said, get a safe, secure job. So the mindsets are completely opposite. I hate to say that. If you study Marx, Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, and Mao, the central bank is Marx. And Lenin said, if you want to destroy the economy, you want to destroy capitalism, debauch the currency. So in 1971, just before I went to Vietnam, Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. But they don't teach you that. You see, our system is communist. And I hate to say that because I'm a Marine. I went to Vietnam twice. I fought for this country, went to military school. Like I said, my family were locked in internment camps. All you communists out there, check this stuff out. I am a billionaire in debt. You know why? Because I get tax breaks for borrowing money. And the reason I am so rich is because I'm in debt. And my friend Dave Ramsey says, live debt free. I'm going, well, you're an idiot. I mean, he's my friend, but I say, Dave, I like debt. In other words, the question, if you're sitting at home right now worried about your job or your business, whatever you worry about, what does the future hold? And that's why this is probably the most important program. See, most people just watch the stock market. That's all they watch. They don't know much about home prices in their neighborhood. And that's not good enough. So our guest today is George Gammon. He takes the ultra complex and puts it in pictures. Even if you don't understand them at first, just keep tracking with it. Because you're going to see what 99.99% of the world's population will never see.
What are you seeing in the future, George?
What I want to stress, and I'll explain this just momentarily, but what I really want to stress to the viewer is that if you're able to just start to understand the macroeconomic picture, and it doesn't need to be complex. The reason you think it's complex is because all these economists and academics, they use all this jargon and technical terms, but if you just break it down into simple English, it's actually very easy for people to understand. And if they understand it, they're going to be able to make much better decisions for themselves and their family in the future for their finances. So whether it's me or anyone else, make sure that you're trying to really pay attention to what's going on. Let's just say that you've been saving your money, you've been working hard, you've been doing all the right things, you've got a little nest egg saved up, and you go to the bank and you're like, oh my gosh, they're only giving me 0.5 interest or 0 or who knows what it is. You can't even see the interest rates. They're so small nowadays. So you say, okay, where can I go to get a little bit higher rate of return? But I still want to be safe. It's got to be safe. So then you might look at a product like a money market mutual fund or a money market fund. And then you look at this, you say, well, that's safe. All my buddies are doing it. It's just like a bank account, but I get maybe a 1.5% return. Well, what the average person doesn't realize is they're taking exponentially more risk just to get that 1% additional return. So how is that? Because the way that the money market mutual fund gets the additional return is they take your hard-earned savings and money, and they put it into the repo market, or they put it into the commercial paper market, which is basically funding for corporations, the same type of thing. So the question then becomes, that person that's just watching Monday Night Football and just enjoying life, with the white picket fence, the 2 kids, the golden retriever, they don't care about what's going on with the plumbing. They don't care about the dollar swaps. But does that person really want to lend their hard-earned savings to Deutsche Bank, to HSBC, some of these banks that could be crumbling as we speak, or to put things into other terms, like more America-centric corporate terms? Would that individual want their money being lent to American Airlines right now, or Boeing right now, where every single time you turn on CNBC or the TV, you see that they're asking for another bailout because they're about to go bust? That's how this macro, and that's how the cash flow and the plumbing that Robert's talking about, that's how, just one way that it can affect the everyday person.
So if our banks are going bust right now, what does that mean?
Well, it's not just the banks, it's the government, it's the private sector, it's our entire economy, because these debt cycles run in courses of 75 to 100 years. I'm going back to Ray Dalio. Right now, we're at the top of a 75 to 100 year long-term debt cycle. So the only way from here is down. And Robert, you called this in a lot of your books, and you kind of predicted this and had the foresight to see this coming.